Looking for ways to rest and relax in 2024? Stick around because I'm going to show you some ways that we did it back in the 1980s.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. It is officially 2024 at the time that I'm filming this video. I believe it's the 8th of January. So I was hoping to have this out the first week of January, but if you don't do YouTube, you should know that these videos are actually very time consuming and hard to make, whether they look like it or not. But anyway, going into 2024, I started thinking about a lot of things that we did back in the 80s, 70s, and even early 90s that just aren't done anymore. And I, like most people, get stressed out with work and everything else, and started thinking of some ways to rest and relax this year without getting as much stress. And quite frankly, other than meditation, the only way I can think about it, changing that was to do things like we did back in the 80s. So I have a top 10 list. They're not necessarily in any particular order except for number one, which I actually think is pretty awesome. So first of all, let's start with number 10. Number 10, I think, is kind of the obvious, and I see a lot of videos online that people are already doing that, and that is doing away with social media. Obviously, back in the day, we did not have social media. We didn't even have cell phones. It was, we got out, we played, we called people on the telephone, met people at the mall. We did a lot of different stuff, and we were actually social. Today, I happen to have a 30-year-old son, and I have a 14-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. And every one of them have been kind of born into the digital age when cell phones already existed. And a lot of different social media platforms have come out since that point. I'm on and off of Facebook. I've had it, I've canceled it, and I've canceled it again. I put it on hold. I just don't get on it. I do have an Instagram, but other than that, I am not on social media platforms, with the exception, of course. So you can save the comments. Yes, I realize YouTube is a social media platform, but I think it's used for a little bit. It could be used for a lot different than the majority of people use it. I use it for educational, for myself to learn. However, just take the time in 2024, and it doesn't have to be you quit it forever, but just stay off of it. Give yourself a couple days, then maybe a week, a couple weeks, to detox from the digital presence that you have, and get back into reality with the way that we used to be, when we used to know how to communicate.
I think it's over.
Hey! What?
A little extra right there. Hey, fellas, that was a good handshake. We got a good one, too. It goes like this. Okay, here we go.
Oh, how you doing, sir?
Very good, sir.
Oh, man.
Okay, so number two, if we're getting rid of social media, the next obvious thing should be to not get rid of, but put down your cell phone. Learn to stay away from your cell phone. When they first came out, obviously, they're amazing. They still are amazing. And I won't take a trip or go long distances without my cell phone. They are very crucial. But unfortunately, everything that exists out there media-wise has been put on a phone on purpose to make things very, very addicting. One of the things that I recently did is, I'd heard it before. Some of you guys might have heard of it before, but it's a product called a Cell 2 jack, where you can take your cell phone, plug it into your mobile phone, Bluetooth, and if you have a rotary phone, you can actually receive calls on that phone. It's pretty cool. It's like $30, $40 on Amazon. It works great. What I've been doing since the first week of, actually the middle of December, I've been using that after 5 o'clock because I'm in outside sales. My cell phone is crucial for my job, and checking emails and whatnot, text messages for customers. But after 5 o'clock, I plug it in, put it over by where the phone is at. That way I'm not constantly staring at it over and over and over like a zombie. See, back in the day, when phones came out, we called them, and maybe some people still do, we called them mobile phones, or mobile phones for my friends across the pond, because we took them around when they were mobile, when you were out and about. They came in a big old briefcase looking thing, just like this. It's a Motorola one just like my mom used to have. And that is when you were absolutely mobile. you use them for that. Now we've changed the terminology to cell phone. Technically, it's still a mobile phone, but maybe this year, learn to call your phone a mobile phone, view it as a mobile phone instead of a cell phone. View it as something that you use when you're only mobile. If you're out, you're going on a trip, you got to go to the store, you're in your car, you have your mobile phone with you. But when you're at home, put it onto the cell 2 jack and leave it alone. Let your brain detox a little bit, focus on other things versus staring at your phone. All right, so number 8. Number 8, it's kind of weird. I haven't done it yet. I plan on doing it. And that is, instead of sending somebody a text message, just of mindless chatter, sit down and write a letter. Sit down and put pen to paper, put your thoughts on paper, get a friend's address and mail it to them. Back in the day, I think probably even way before my time, but in the late 70s, early 80s, it was kind of a thing in second, third, fourth, maybe not second, but third, fourth, and fifth grade. When we were at school, we had pen pals. It was part of the curriculum. And I remember the weird pen pal paper with the almost like a barbershop border around it. And it was, you'd fill it out, fold it up, put a stamp on it and mail it. I remember mine was from Japan somewhere. So it was something that they made us do in school. I mean, we actually got graded on it, so we had to do it. But at the same time, it taught us how to communicate in a written form and to communicate with another person that we didn't know, to learn more about them, ask questions, and just generally get to know somebody that we didn't know. I mean, think about this. If you were to go to your mailbox and open it up and you receive a letter from a friend, I mean, how would that make you feel? A postcard. How would that make you feel? I know it might, to a lot of people, seem corny, but to me, when I get a Christmas card that's mailed to my house and somebody actually takes the time to write a little note in it, put a stamp on it, put it in the mailbox and send it to you, kind of makes me feel good. I kind of keep them around. You display them a little bit. It's a lot different than the ones that somebody just gives you, or they send you the little GIF or GIF, however you want to pronounce it, of, Merry Christmas or Happy New Year. It's kind of cool to be able to actually get something in the mail. So this year, what I'm going to do, I have a few really good friends, and I'm just going to sit down and write them a letter. We talk on the phone pretty much every week already, but still, I'm going to just relax, put pen to paper, put my thoughts, maybe some of the things that I forget about when I'm talking, and send my friends a letter. And number 7 is call your friends. Now, I know I just said write them a letter, but what I'm trying to say is, instead of texting somebody for 30 minutes back and forth, just call them, speak to them. I know it's a revolutionary thought right now in today's times to be like, what do you mean I actually have to talk to somebody? But in my opinion, society has really gone backwards with the advent of cell phones and social media. I think most people know that. But it's just, I tell my wife sometimes when she can be texting with a friend for an hour and a half, and I'm like, why don't you just call him? You call him, it's like a 5-minute conversation of everything that was written down can be spoken in about 5 minutes. So I refer back to the cell 2 jack. What's cool about that is it kind of makes me stationary. So when somebody calls me, obviously I use my cell phone as call waiting. I can see it's coming in. I turn the ringer down so I don't hear it on my cell phone. I get to hear the old school ringer of the telephone. And so I'm not, it's not a cordless phone, it's a cord, and I'm kind of stationary where that phone is at, and it's not always comfortable. So therefore I'm not just lounging around, I'm sitting up, I'm alert, because I'm not just slouching on the couch, mindlessly scrolling through, TV, Netflix, whatever. I'm actually engaged in the conversation, while I'm on the phone. And, I don't know, it just seems to, make it a lot more focused. I don't find my mind drifting as much, and having to ask friends, hey, can you repeat what you just said? Because honestly, I wasn't listening to you, because if I was on my cell phone, I'm looking around. Maybe I screen out of it and I'm looking on YouTube at the same time I'm talking to you on the phone. Well, you can't do that on a landline. You can't do that on a rotary phone. So that's been a perfect opportunity. And I've actually had some very long conversations and complain about my ear hurting afterwards, because the phone is not ergonomic like a cell phone where it's nice and flat. So it gets me on some of my friends that I have longer conversations with, tends to get me off the phone a little bit earlier. So I'm not just gabbing away on the phone, because it literally starts to hurt my ear. But anyway, try that Cell 2 jack. I don't have an affiliate link for it. Just look it up on eBay or I'm sorry, Amazon, and get you one and try it out. All right, we're down to number 6. Number 6, might require you to spend a little bit of money, but go ride a bike. When's the last time you've ever gotten on a bike? If you have one, take it around your neighborhood. See, in my area, we actually know our neighbors around us because a lot of the stuff that they're our age. We're Gen Xers, right? Some of them are even older, baby boomers, and so we know our neighbors. We know their names. We know what they do. We know when they're not there, when they're there. We ask each other to keep an eye on each other's house when we're out of town or we're gone for a while. We have outdoor cats, so have one of my neighbors that comes over and feed those cats for me when we're out of town. Just like I have other friends that will come over and feed the cats that we have inside the house if we're gone for an extended period of time. But what we did is before my accident, it's kind of because of my accident, been riding a bike through the neighborhood, riding a bike through the park, just to get a little bit of exercise. I mean, back in the day when we were kids, you can kind of always tell where everybody was at after school because everybody's bikes would be in the front yard. They'd be piled up, thrown over, piled up on top of one another because we happened to be at that friend's house at that point in time. So you never, because we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have a way of communicating. If you were that one friend that didn't get the memo, so to speak, or didn't hear about it at lunch, because we didn't have A, B, and C lunch when we went to school. It was just one lunch. So we'd find out. So most of us, because we lived in the neighborhood, we never really had to wonder where somebody was at, where everybody was at, because you can be like, hey, look, everybody's at Johnny's house over there because all of the bikes. And the bikes like somebody's car nowadays. So you knew what friends rode what bike. And then you knew maybe, oh, well, I don't like that person. I don't like that one. So I'm not going to go over today because they're over there. Kind of petty, but that's how it was. So obviously you're not going to have a group of friends and all ride your bikes to each other's house and just throw them in the front yard, although that would be kind of funny. But anyway, get yourself a bike, get out in nature, get a little bit of exercise, breathe some fresh air, and get out of the house. All right, number 5. We're halfway there, folks. Once again, I know that people nowadays have the attention span of goldfish. So if you're still here at number 5, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. If this is the type of content that you like, I do ask that you give it a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and hit that bell notification to get more information like this. Going into 2024, I'm not going to do so much of collectible or thrifting or garage sales and stuff like that. I'm going to be doing more videos like this, talking about events and memories of my past and my life that I enjoy as being a Gen Xer. So for this, okay, so what do we say? I check my notes. Number 5. Where am I? Okay. Number 5 is something that I do every once in a while, but I'm going to start doing it more, and that is going to the mall. Yes, they still exist. We're in San Antonio, and so we got quite a few malls. They're not the same anymore as they used to be in a lot of ways. However, we used to go there all the time. We meet up with our friends. Parents would drop us off. They tell us, be at this exit at 4:00 in the afternoon, give us a few dollars to go to an Orange Julius at the food court and get some snacks and whatnot. But we would spend the whole day there. One of the coolest things that I remember is growing up in Corpus Christi, we had a mall called Sunrise Mall. And it was actually featured in the Legend of Billy King, not Billy King, the Legend of Billie Jean movie with Christian Slater and what is it, Kelly Slater? No relation, I believe, or Kelly Slater. That's a surfer, isn't it? Anyway, we'll just stick with Christian Slater. He was in the movie. They filmed it in Corpus Christi and out on the island. And there was a scene where they were chasing him through that mall, down those stairs that I had been up and down hundreds of times. Unfortunately, they closed that mall off. You can't get in it anymore. But we got a lot of fond memories of hanging out there from not only being a kid on up to being a 16, 17-year-old teenager, hanging out with my buddy Dan at the food court, doing absolutely nothing except walking around and checking out chicks, right? Just staring at stuff through the windows of stuff we wish we can have that we would tell our parents we wish they would buy for us. Nowadays, people, they walk around them. I mean, so in a way, it's a good form of exercise. My wife and I had went candle shopping at one of the malls and just a couple of weeks ago, right before Christmas, just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a mall I hadn't been to before, walked around. We went there to the candle store for exactly what we needed, Bath and Body Works. So not technically a candle store, but they have the candles. And then just spend our time walking around there after, checking out the stores. Of course, getting haggled by the kiosk people in the middle. Hey, come here, sir. Hey, can I put this on your face? Hey, you want? No, no. But those didn't really exist back when I was a teen, but they do now. But take some time. Again, get out of the house, drive to a mall. Don't do it during Christmas or Thanksgiving or anything like that, because then it's just going to stress you out. But maybe if you work in an area where you get a lunch hour and you can take off from lunch, just drive to the mall, go eat something at the food court, and just relax and chill. I know it sounds corny, but it's actually pretty relaxing and fun, and it's definitely a different thing to do than you probably are normally doing. Okay, number 4. Number 4 is, you might not have these in your area, but I would say take the time to go to a comic book store or a record store. But I don't like comics. I don't like records. It doesn't matter. Just go to them. Check out the stuff that's in there. I know records now surpassed, I believe, CDs last year. Vinyl did. Vinyl sales have been back up. Although I don't like the new, they're not even vinyl, they're plastic. Every time I get what I call a remake of an album, when my Techniques needle comes up, it scratches across the top, because those damn albums are so fat. They're not like the vinyl that I'm used to, that I have. But nevertheless, there's something about flipping through the crates. If you've heard that term before, especially now when you know bands that you haven't heard in 10 or 20 or 30 years, and you go to one of these stores and you're just flipping through the crates, just relaxing, chilling out, flipping through each album, and then you find something, and then you're like, wow, I remember this song. I remember the memories that it gave me. Same for comic book stores. As you know, obviously, I'm a collector, right? So did get my Highlander comics up on the wall again, finally. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, I love going to a comic book store, although I don't really buy new comics that much. But comic book stores just aren't comic books. They have certain toys. They have the sculptures. They have a lot of art. They have the game. Some of them have game rooms where they're in there doing, World of Warcraft or Dungeons and Dragons, which, man, that's something I really, really want to do. I know my 30-year-old is interested in doing it too. He already does games, just not D&D, but I would really like to do that, but I'm a complete beginner. My big brother played it back in the 80s when it was like, satanic, right? So, it's something that you need to learn from somebody really good to learn it. But that's something I want to do. But it's really cool when you go to those comic book stores and you see that. So it's not just comics, it's toys. It's just so much nostalgia that are there. A lot of the comic book places are diversifying, and now they're selling older toys. They're selling vintage T-shirts. They're selling stuff like that. And the same with the record stores. We don't necessarily, we have a couple of record stores or music stores in San Antonio, but we also have a place called CD Exchange, which I don't know if they're around in other towns, but in San Antonio, they got like 3 or 4, and they do vinyl, they do cassette tapes, they do video games, they do CDs, they do movies. You can buy, sell, trade. You can do all that kind of stuff. So I like to go there to look up vinyl. They have a new arrival spot, and we go there and flip through that, pick a couple CDs, find a couple movies that I can't seem to find. The way I look at it, if I'm looking for a movie that I don't have back there in my collection, I don't want to pay $4.99 to rent it from Prime when I can go to a local place, CD Exchange, buy it for $3 or $4, and have my copy of physical media as long as I want to keep it. So try that out. Find some in your neighborhood or in your area of town. Go there and just, you don't have to spend any money, because it's not necessarily cheap. Vinyl is not that cheap anymore if you find a really good band. But just check it out. And even if you don't own a record player, go check it out. And then maybe you'll get one. So there you go. All right, we're down to the final 3. So number 3 is something that we actually have been doing for years, and that is playing board games. We have a little 50s, I call it a game table. I don't think it's an actual game table. It's just it was a type of table that when we were kids at Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving, they would stick us off in the kids' table away from the adults. But my wife found it at a flea market from the 50s, metal, pretty cool. We keep it in another room, and then when we play games, we pop it up in our second living room, right in front of our stereo console. Get it all ready to go. We play games like we play Yahtzee a lot. Just got Boggle. I used to play that a lot. I guess my mom bent the rules a lot because you apparently are supposed to only do 4-letter words and up. We always did 3. So I tried to stick with the rules this last time and no 3-letter words. But I mean, sorry, I'm not a brainiac, but most of us only came away with 2 or 3 words, if that. So we had to break the rules and say, okay, let's pick 3-letter words, make it a lot more fun. And then one of my favorite games, of course, is the Ultimate something 80s Trivial Pursuit game, which is actually very fun. I beat my wife and son at that all the time. But you know, my 14-year-old actually does very, very well for being 14. It's one way to learn all about the 80s and do it. But so what happens? We set the board up. My wife normally has an adult beverage or 2. We open up the stereo. We pick whether or not we're going to put on an album, a cassette, or a CD, and we just sit there and play games while we're listening to music. And it's just a great time. It really is. It stimulates the brain a lot more. I do like video games, but there's just something about a board game that I think is possibly just a little bit more educational. I mean, Boggle, my son was, this first time he played it, he was trying to put words that you would find in the Urban Dictionary now. And I'm like, or he would misspell words. And, you know, I'm not coming down on you, Roth, but you misspell words that I'm like, wait, aren't you learning that in school? And the answer is no, they're not. So if anything, he learned a few new words and the way that they should be spelled than maybe he knew before. So pick whatever game you like. My wife also likes that Cards Against Humanity. It's not my real favorite, but I always have to throw that game in when we're playing. Otherwise, she doesn't seem to have as much fun. So go get some board games. They have them at your thrift stores. You don't have to go buy them new at Walmart. Find one that you like, schedule a time with your family, sit down and play some board games with them. All right. Number 2 is listen to music. But don't listen to music on your phone. Don't put your earbuds in and go to your Spotify account or your Pandora and listen to music. Listen to it without stuff in your ears, or maybe some old school headphones, or what do y'all use? Beats Audio, I think is what they're called now. And what I mean by that is it's kind of like when you go to the record store and you find a record that you like. What we find a lot of times is, you know, y'all use the terminology shuffle. Well, that, you know, for Spotify and all that. Well, that word came about from CD players when they started to do like a 5-disc carousel or a cartridge to where you can push a shuffle button. And if you had 5 CDs in there, it would just randomly pick songs from there. We do that with ours. And man, I tell you what, we sometimes go hours and hours just from those 5 without it repeating the same song again. We have no TV on. We have the music on and just listen to it. We go to the crates and pick out some albums, either some 12-inch singles, which then means I've got to change it out more often. There's just something about that sound of putting the needle down on vinyl. There's something about listening to a cassette tape and just listening to music in general. And it's typically, I can't say I don't listen to new music, but I really don't. I don't really know any of the new singers or songwriters or anything like that. But I listen to a wide variety. I rarely listen to country, although if I do, it's more the old school 70s or 80s country. Listen to my hair bands, my hair metal, my new wave music. And then of course, one of my favorites is, we call it Belgian New Beat, but people in Europe just call it New Beat. That was kind of around from 88 to 92, kind of a weird genre of music, but it's something that I really love, along with house music. But you know, just have fond memories. My wife and I, a song will pop on that we hadn't heard in a while, and then we think back to a time. I remember when I was here and that song came on. I remember, or you remember, hey, that movie that song was in when this happened or whatever. So it just stimulates conversation as well. So we're not just sit there withdrawn with earbuds, curled up, you know, in our couch in our PJs, just sitting there at 4 PM, not doing anything except vegging out with our music. We're actually talking about some of the memories and the things that we felt. And they've never been bad memories. They're always just great memories. Haven't had something pop up that, you know, freaks me out from a traumatic time that I had. Like when I used to be a kid or teenager, I would listen to my headphones or something meditative about it. As weird as that sounds, whether it could have been Public Enemy or Motley Crue to Felix the House Cat, right? I would put those headphones on and with the long cord, put a pillow down on the ground, and then just something about the ones that go all the way around your ears to where you just feel encapsulated in the music. And again, because you recorded to it, if you recorded to it at the time, you were not mobile. You were there. You couldn't really walk away that easily. So I would just sit back and relax, close my eyes, and then just feel the music. And I mean, it is meditative, not much different than forms of meditation today. But I would actually try to do that instead of just popping in the earbuds and be running and gunning while the music's going. Sit down and just take some time to just hear the music and think about it and nothing else and relax. All right, we are down to number 1. And like I said, I kind of have a personal preference for this. Some of y'all might think it's corny, but the memory I have with doing number 1 is never intentional, because on Saturdays, we lived on 2 acres, and my mom would make me mow the lawn with a push mower. Okay. And I didn't get an allowance for it. It's just part of my job. We also had outdoor dogs, and they didn't like piles of dog poop all over the yard. So I had to go out there, scoop them up with a 1-gallon plastic ice cream container and a shovel, and then throw it over the fence, not on our neighbors. We own the 2 acres next to it, throw it over the fence. So I was tired by that time. By the time I was done, I was really tired. And it was always on a Saturday. And Saturday, PBS, which is maybe a channel that the younger folks don't know about, but they always had a lot of really good shows. How many of y'all remember Yan Can Cook? Remember him? Or This Old House with Bob Vila back before they got the new guy that's, I guess, been there now for 30 years. But my favorite show, I remember I would get all cleaned up. I'd throw my big little TV pillow down on the ground and get ready to watch. And then about 5 minutes into the show, I'd fall asleep. And then I'd seem to wake up in the last minute of the show to see the finished product. And what was that show? The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. There was just something that I never missed. If I was at home, I never missed it. It came on around, it was either 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and I'd get all excited. I'd lay down on the ground, turn up the TV, and just watch this guy paint, and his voice, and I think most of y'all agree now, he's more popular now than he was then. His voice is just so relaxing that because I was already a little bit tired, I would just kind of nod off. So now you can watch Bob Ross anywhere, right? He's all over the TV. So I would recommend, as corny as it may sound, to pop up some episodes of Bob Ross, watch him paint, enjoy the relaxing voice, his amazing paintings. And, maybe you'll fall asleep and take a nap too, just like I did, and then wake up in the last 30 seconds to see the finished painting like I did. So nevertheless, that's my number 1, and I'm sticking to it. So like I said, if you stuck around this far to the video, I appreciate it. I'm going to be doing more long form content like this about things from the 80s and the 90s that I either lived through or witnessed myself. So with that said, again, if you like this type of content, please give me a like to the video, consider subscribing, and hit that bell notification, and we will see you on the next video.